Joining us right now is Chuck Coughlin, Republican strategist, president and CEO of High Ground Consulting. Chuck, always good to have you on the program. I always look forward to your opinions and your thoughts on things. I find you to be a very reasonable individual, which oftentimes I think is lacking in today's discourse. From the AP, the shooting comes amid a spike in political violence in the United States across all parts of the ideological spectrum. Chuck, are we actually seeing an increase in political violence? Certainly there have been some high-profile issues, not only the president being shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, but then also nearly shot while he was on a golf course, and that would-be assassin facing trial as we speak.
No, you guys, well, first, it's nice to be with you. Sorry to be under these circumstances. Bless Charlie. We are certainly in a moment of increased political violence. When you have applause for assassinating the CEO of United Healthcare, you have the kind of remarks the president made yesterday about a mental health care crisis that an individual was having in Florida, which happened to then, come about in the victimization of a Ukrainian immigrant woman who had survived and had this great story to tell. Our society's sick, our culture's sick. The way we deal with one another is politically sick. The interesting thing about Charlie is, he too took advantage of this opportunity. Let's look at what the path of success that Charlie had was that he started showing up and organizing young people on college campuses. And we all know that those college campuses were bastions a decade ago of very liberal thinking, of politically correct DEI. The whole anti-movement that is now spawned today was what Charlie reacted to. And quite frankly, has been super successful at recruiting young people who were ostracized if they didn't agree with that political culture on college campuses. And I think what he was doing today was actually was having one of these open air forums where people could come and discuss in an environment and have exchanges of ideas. He was sitting in a chair and prepared to have those discussions. Let's be honest. I didn't agree with a lot that Turning Point stand for, but I admired what Charlie and Turning Point was doing in terms of gathering momentum on within young people. Without Turning Point, let's just admit it, there would not be a youth Republican movement in the country. He started it, and his organization was responsible for it. And he took advantage of the political dogmatics which was taking place at that time, and quite frankly still takes place today. I'm a person of faith. I am guided in my life now at the ripe age of 63. I think I've got my optics and my navigation down as correctly as I've ever had it, and I'm a person of faith. I put God at the center of that. And I realize I'm a sinner and everybody else is too. And we're all seeking grace and seeking mercy. That is a place to start. But to start there, you have to acknowledge your own shortcomings. And what we have today is two political movements, both on the left and on the right, that don't admit their own political shortcomings, and that they are using that narrative against one another. And we're not left as a public with any choice left. People of rational thought are excluded from the political debate today because you have to be of an extreme voice to appeal to the party organizers that are organizing the parties, to appeal to those people who turn out in Republican or Democratic primaries. As a person of faith, I don't feel welcome in the Democratic Party. I don't. And I don't feel, as a person of humility, I don't feel welcome in the Republican Party either. So we're faced at this juncture, and we're going through this period of time. I think the country's gone through periods like this before. after the Civil War, there was, quite a bit of violence going on, quite a bit of populism going on. And World War I finally wrenched that into a reality because we had a unified one enemy that we could all face. We don't have that today. The president can't even agree that Putin's our enemy, and that the people of Ukraine are our friends. And so we have this very, very divisive political culture going on today, and a lot of mental health care problems, a lot of mental health problems. And our political narrative today is broadcast 24/7, 365. You can find any voice that you want to bathe in, and you can bathe in it, and you can baptize yourself in it, and you become self-righteous, and then you end up pulling the trigger. Whether you're Mangione, who shot the CEO for United Healthcare, or the mentally ill man who murdered the woman in North Carolina, or the guy that murdered Charlie Kirk today. They're all signs of a decay in our culture and a mental health care crisis in our country.
Talking with Chuck Coughlin, Republican political strategist, president and CEO of High Ground Political Consulting. Oh, gosh, Chuck, you certainly said a mouthful there. No, I think your analysis is spot on, but if you are spot on with it and you are accurate, what's the fix? How do we find some common ground? How do we make things better in the country?
It's going to be because a group of people get together and organize themselves in a fashion that provides a place for voters to go. I believe most Americans are good people. I believe most Americans are fair people. I believe most Americans are just people. I believe they want good things for our country, and they don't want to vilify other people. We'd rather celebrate our success rather than vilify. But our political discourse today does not give way to that. So, I tried in the last cycle to do with some very many other Arizonans to change the way we elect people in primaries. That's part of the problem that we have. Part of the problem is dark money that Terry Goddard has created an initiative to require disclosure on that. There's fundamental things on there, but I'd get to the narrative part of it. Both parties are devoid of faith right now. They're self-righteous, and I think somebody in the parties has to wake up to that. We have people here that could do that. We have Ruben Gallego. Believe what you want about his politics. He's a good man. He's a man of faith. He's been trying to drag the Democratic Party back into a place. Mark Kelly certainly is a person that could do that. The victim of gun violence himself, with his wife, a war hero, a combat pilot. There's certainly people there that could do it, but it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to confront your friends and tell them you're wrong. And maybe as a result of incidents like this, tragedies like this that Senator Kelly himself experienced personally, maybe he can emote from that. Maybe he could say, this is a tragedy. There's no other way to look at it. A young man has been taken from us who was very successful at organizing people in a political narrative and bringing them to the table, who would have otherwise not had a voice. And nobody will ever take that away from Charlie Kirk. And he will ever go to his maker with that in his book. And it's going to take somebody to step out, begin to be critical of the Democratic narrative of grievance politics, and equity is defined by one group having success over another group. It says in our Constitution, all men are created equal. Well, that's everybody. Everybody's created equal. Everybody should be treated equally. That doesn't mean one group should be treated better than another group, or that privilege is a thing. It is a thing, but it's a thing that should be celebrated, and you should find resources within yourself to share those privileges, not belittle people for them. It's a Democratic narrative that fails to land with the majority of the electorate today. Trump has him on the run, and there's a big part of the country that is not happy with Trump. We can see that in his own approval ratings. So it's a failure of our political process to articulate the hopes and desires of what most Americans really want.
President and CEO of High Ground Consulting, Chuck Coughlin, Republican strategist. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.